Good evening. This is CTV News for this Thursday, March the 19th. I'm Sonia Shrivastava.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger. Thank you for joining us tonight. A tragedy in Cheverly sparks legislation in Annapolis that would close a legal loophole. Prince George's officials testified today before the House Judiciary Committee in support of a bill that would require state officials to report threats of violence against children. The issue came about after Sonia Spoon suffocated to death her two toddler children in September. Family members told medical professionals and police that Spoon was planning to hurt her kids a week prior to the incident, but they never reported the threats to social service agencies.
The grandmother in this case, Pavy Spoon, is a friend. She's a person I know very personally. We were in Leadership Maryland together. I know, and anyone who knows Pavy knows she did everything she could to protect her grandchildren, and it still wasn't enough.
I think like all of us, you know, two children died this summer, one up in Frederick on a failure of the statute to talk about when you have to reunify a child, and now a failure on the statute of when you have to report. So as a legislator, our job is to secure up these tools in the law enforcement statutes to make sure what we have out there works or encourages the proper reporting to protect children. Everybody wants to. The social workers in this case, law enforcement. It's just making sure it's clear what reporting is required.
State law currently only requires professionals to report suspected abuse or neglect, not threats.
Black Marylanders make up 29% of the state's population, but they are 5 times more likely to be killed during encounters with police than their white counterparts. Now, that's just one of the findings in a report released by the American Civil Liberties Union. Here are some other numbers. Between 2010 and 2014, at least 109 people died in encounters with law enforcement. 70% were black and 40% were unarmed. Now, the ACLU says the numbers can be elusive because so far there is no centralized state or federal reporting requirement when people die in police encounters.
Problem, then we can't address it. So unless there is reporting out there, we don't know if there's a pattern, if there is a problem, if there are jurisdictions that are using improper, excessive force. We just don't know. So it's incredibly important to address the facts, get the facts, and then you can make policy changes.
Actually, we think that the report does a disservice to the citizens of the state of Maryland. It basically plays with numbers and doesn't really provide a lot of detail or in-depth commentary on what basically occurred within the cases. I believe it's an attempt on their part to basically sway the judgment of the delegates, the delegation in the Senate House with regards to several bills that they submitted for police reform. We just think that it's a bad report.
Now, the ACLU is backing House Bill 954, which would require law enforcement agencies in Maryland to track and report all deaths involving action.
Advocates for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities want Maryland to be a national leader in efforts to raise awareness, understanding, and inclusion. This session, lawmakers are considering a bill that would give those with special needs a chance to play a central role in educating and training the public. The legislation would establish the Saylor Center, which is named after Ethan Saylor, a man with Down syndrome who died in police custody. CTV spoke with his mother, Patty, today at the State House.
So it's important that, to me, because Ethan loved law enforcement, anyone in uniform, that we build these relationships. And then people on both sides will realize how to best safely interact. When there is a difference of opinion or something, and it's necessary. Someone else is going to die if we don't.
We're at a time in our nation's history where people with disabilities want to be their own spokespersons, want to tell their own story, want to train people to understand their needs and their potential. This bill would make Maryland the first state in history to institutionalize a training center for them, to allow them to train all public officials. So imagine.
A hearing on Senate Bill 853 is scheduled for March 25th in the Senate Finance Committee.
A proposal by the WSSC that would increase revenue by 6% in fiscal year 2016 was a topic of discussion during a county council meeting this morning. The Transportation, Housing, and Environment Committee discussed the $4.4 billion budget with the agency's general manager.
There is a 1% rate increase that's planned, but in addition to that, what we need to do is begin to collect more of the revenue that we need from fixed fees. because much of our costs are fixed, and the highest percentage of our revenue comes in on a volumetric basis. So this year we plan to, one, adjust the account maintenance fee that was put in place about 25 years ago and has never been adjusted, to get that up to collecting actually the cost of the actual account maintenance. And we are adding a fee that will be committed totally to infrastructure cost and paying for this for the high cost of infrastructure replacement that we have to take care of. For the typical consumer, it will be just over $4. It'll be about $4.20 per month.
Public hearings have already been held on the proposed budget. Now, the measure must pass both councils in Prince George's and Montgomery counties before it is enacted.
The Maryland Clean Agriculture Coalition and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation released a joint statement on Governor Hogan's revised phosphorus regulations. The measure seeks to reduce water pollution by decreasing the use of manure on farm fields. The statement reads, "We are pleased the Hogan administration has agreed to close a loophole that could have caused delays. Getting rid of the loophole will be a major accomplishment." Now, phosphorus pollution causes algae blooms that threaten public health, kill underwater grasses, create dead zones in waterways, and harm aquatic life.
A suspect is indicted in Charles County in the 3.5-year-old murder and disappearance case of a Prince George's woman. The Sheriff's Department arrested Raymond Posey III in connection with the death of 29-year-old Keyonna Anderson. Back in 2011, the 29-year-old was reported missing by family members. Her body was found 5 months later in a wooded area by a hiker in Nanjamoy in Charles County. Posey has been charged with first-degree murder. Detectives believe that the motive was robbery in this case. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Sonia Srivastava.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger.